The third episode of Silo Season 2 explores the extent of human desire and how far we are willing to go to achieve it. Welcome back, everyone. This will be my Silo Season 2 Episode 3 breakdown video. If you are new to the channel, please sure to subscribe to get all the videos. When the lone survivor of Silo 17, Solo, finally started to talk, he told Jules about the poisonous air that killed the residents of his silo, who went out believing the outside world was a much better place than the steel prison they were locked inside. It is obvious that Silo centers around a similar post-apocalyptic world like we saw in the Fallout series, which is why it isn't safe to go outside. Nevertheless, out of curiosity, Solo asked Jules how she had survived outside for so long, which was when she told him about the suit. It reminded Solo of Ron Tucker, a cleaner from his silo, who, just like Jules, didn't clean the camera and instead wrote lies in the dirt on the lens. It could be possible that Tucker, just like Jules, had found out the truth about the faulty suit and computer-generated video in the visor. According to Solo, the residents didn't see Ron Tucker die, which made them believe that he survived the cleaning. Such a misunderstanding sparked a rebellion inside the silo, making people believe that the higher-ups had been feeding them a bunch of lies about the outside world and keeping them captive inside. They rose in a rebellion against IT and judicial and finally broke down the door that kept them trapped. In the end, they did find out the truth, but it was too late. The poison had already entered their bodies and killed them before they could return to their silo. Now Jules, while listening to Solo's story, realized that a similar thing had happened in her silo and her survival might incite a rebellion, which was why it was really important for her to return back so she could convince her people not to repeat the same mistake as the residents of Silo 17. But will she be able to do that? Well, we already know that a tunnel exists, but first she needs to deal with the floodwater to reach out. You see, Bernard is the kind of man who works by the book, and that wasn't meant to be a compliment. Such people fail to improvise or adapt as per the situation, and that's what Meadows feared the most. Meadows had been trying to help Bernard to handle the crisis at Silo, which wasn't even mentioned in the order. She wanted Bernard to improvise and go against the direction mentioned in the order, but Bernard couldn't do that. He was wired not to. He was a short-sighted man who couldn't see the bigger picture, and maybe all the heads of IT were doomed to a similar fate because of their rigidity. Bernard had ordered the arrest of a young lad who had allegedly written Juliet Lives on the walls of Mechanical. It was the directive mentioned in the order to curb the rebellion. But Meadows told Bernard it wouldn't work this time, as Juliet had not only refused to clean the camera but also survived the cleansing, giving people the hope that it was safe to go outside, and therefore he needs to change his plan. But he couldn't. Just like the head of IT of Silo 17, and Meadows, being a visionary, could see the outcome of Bernard's action. From the previous episode, I have been trying to understand Meadows' reasoning for wanting to go out or get a suit for herself. I mean, she does want to see the outside world and she is quite fond of the old relics. But I guess there's something more than that, and I could be wrong. So Meadows knew that Bernard had been lying to her face, but she needed some evidence to confront him. This was the reason why she asked Paul Billings, the new sheriff, to investigate the matter and find out if Jules really asked to go out. Well, she didn't. It was a lie Bernard made up and told everyone because he wanted to get rid of her. After the truth came to light, Meadows realized a very simple thing about Bernard. She was certain that the man would lie through his teeth to serve the order. In his mind, Bernard might believe that he was doing the right thing, but here he failed to see the bigger picture. It could be one of the reasons why Meadows was so eager to get a suit for herself and go out as quickly as possible, as she didn't want to die in the rebellion that was fuming in Mechanical. And yes, the relic inside Meadows' room that mesmerized Billings was a hollow frisbee. In episode 2's ending, Meadows played a video on her secret projector where she saw a bunch of families engaged in outdoor sports, which makes me believe that she already knew what the relic was or what it was used for. Also, this video, The Wizard of Oz book, along with a few other things that belonged to the period before the rebellion, did have an effect on Meadows' psyche. She was quite obsessed with these relics and wanted to see the outside world. And if I am not reaching too far, then I guess Meadows could be dealing with some kind of a terminal illness. That's another potential reason why she so eagerly wants to go outside. Meadows had told Billings this syndrome that they were dealing with had nothing to do with the blood disorders or vitamin deficiencies, but might be natural human reaction to an unnatural situation. They weren't meant to live underground, and maybe that's what caused these symptoms. In Silo episode 2's ending, Bernard arrived at Meadows' apartment to take measurement for her suit. The sexual tension between them was quite high. So the plan was that Bernard would get a suit prepared for Meadows and sneak her out of the silo after he had shut down all the cameras and display screens in the cafeteria in the name of routine maintenance. In such a case, Meadows would finally get what she wants, and no one would ever be able to find out that she left the silo. After Jules, Bernard couldn't risk sending another person out publicly. Well, you already know why. So he had to do this one very discreetly. Robert Sims, most likely on Bernard's orders, cracked a deal with the prisoner, whom he had previously arrested in season 1 for helping Jules. He offered to erase his memories in exchange for some dirty work, which was to incite a war in Mechanical and turn the rest of the silo against them. During a peaceful protest for Teddy, Sims, a man threw a firebomb at the police station, which led to unrest between the protesters and the guards. In the heat of the moment, one of the guards not only shot the man who threw the bomb, but also killed Cooper, who was trying to stop him. Both Knox and Shirley were deeply affected by Cooper's death, which was why Knox asked Shirley to meet her near the tunnel so that they could make the IT and judicial pay for what they had done to Cooper. Both Knox and Shirley knew that either IT or Judicial had sent a man to frame the people of Mechanical and paint them as savages. But they won't let these high-ups divide them anymore. It was time for payback. The first season established the fact that IT picked the people who deserved to get a baby. They had a sort of criteria that they followed. I guess they didn't want rebellious mothers to become parents, which was why the surgeon who was treating Alison Becker never really removed the birth control device from her body on IT's order. Now in season 2, Pete, Jules' father, came across a similar situation where he was asked not to remove the device from Phoebe Wells' body, even though she had won the bonus birth lottery to get a baby. But Pete acted against the orders and rebelled against the higher-ups, just to make her daughter proud. Wherever she was, he did remove the device, which means Phoebe Wells will finally get pregnant. But the question here is, will Pete face the consequences of his action? Most likely. So you see, everyone is rebelling against the established order, which is why it is so important for Jules to return before her silo too turns into a graveyard. In Silo episode 2's ending, Solo gave Jules an idea to use a firefighter suit to build a cleaning suit for herself, which would help her to get back to her silo and save them from killing themselves. But the issue was that the fire safety equipment was kept in engineering, which was already flooded with water, and the closest floor was 23. It was implied that the water had flooded till level 22 or 21, and Jules will have to go down at least one level to reach it. However, to survive such a dive, she needs to build a device that can pump air to her and pull her out of the water on her signal. In short, she needs a Solo's help to do the impossible. But Solo isn't ready to come out of the vault, as he was struggling with the demons of his own. It could be surmised that Solo was tortured or traumatized by the survivors, which was the reason why he had locked himself inside the vault and didn't come out even after those two men outside the vault died of hunger. The loneliness had affected him emotionally and mentally, because of which Solo started imagining things. But Jules' company, her determination, and her kindness finally moved Solo and gave him the courage to step outside his self made prison. Solo wasn't alone anymore. He had a friend, and he eagerly wanted to help that friend to return home so she doesn't end up having the same fate as him. That is, to lose all her loved ones and become the only survivor of her silo. If you find any reference during the episode that I didn't talk about in this video, please write them down in the comments. Thanks.